As we landed in India, the only thought I had was if my baby's okay, which gradually led to why is it so hot in here? And then which hospital I was gonna pick for my baby and I. Whatever I'm sharing here, particularly for hospitals or anything else, it's a personal experience, it's anecdotal experience. I do not have proof of every single thing, so read other reviews and then do it. Okay, let's get down to choosing the right hospital for myself. This was a ride, it really was. It was very confusing. So the first hospital that I went to was Cloud9. Cloud9 specializes in maternity and they deliver babies, natural, blah blah blah. All of us want to have a natural birth. All of us are like, I can take the pain, give it to me. And that sounds gross. And I was no different. I went to the hospital thinking that this is where I'm going to deliver my baby. Things fell apart very quickly. So my husband went with me the first time that we went for the scan, and we had to wait for I think 15 to 20 minutes for our appointment. And there were people around Cloud9 that were losing their minds. There were husbands that were screaming at the people that were taking the appointments that like, why is it taking such a long time? Women that had been there for a very long time and no one was, like, the doctor wasn't there or the appointment wasn't going the time that it should go. And that should have been a very big sign for me. I don't know why I didn't factor that in. You never think of, when you go to such places, you're like, maybe it's just happening to them. But there were literally like 3 or 4 people right there losing their minds. So that should have been the number one. Should have thought of that. My husband turned to me and he was like, are you sure you want to go here? Because it seems like everyone is kind of upset with them. And I was like, yeah, they have really good reviews, and maybe it's just like a bad day. And the thing with me is that I'm very non-confrontational, so I don't really like to fight. The maximum I can do is like argue with like a straight face. So we continued. We had our first scan in Cloud9.
I'm at my parents' house and we went to the doctor. The doctor basically said that everything is normal. There was heartbeat and everything else is fine.
What wasn't fine, however, was my skin. The same itchiness, darkness underneath my chin started happening, and it wasn't fun. I kept using Ease Essence and it gave me a little bit of relief and made my skin feel a bit better. But this continued for most part of my pregnancy. We're going to see that later on as well. And the bump had started to bump a little bit. Maybe placebo. We don't know. Within my first trimester, by I think the second or the third month, I had to go for 2 appointments. Both of the appointments, I was on time, even before time, and the person that had to, let's say, like do the scan came in 45 minutes late. Okay, so if my appointment was like at 10, they would come at like 11:30, and I started to get really irritated of the fact that this like very nonchalant way of doing things, especially at a hospital, especially if like it's pregnant women. So I didn't really understand what's happening. The reviews online did not align with like my experience. Given that the doctor themselves were really nice, so I went there for the second time for my second scan, and the doctor was so sweet and she knew how to calm you down, because this is the first or the second time you're doing a scan and you're really vulnerable. And so she did a really great job, but she was really late. And when I say really late, I think 45 minutes to half an hour of being late for someone that's pregnant and has held their pee in is quite irritating, if you ask me. And so I was still a bit irritated, but I didn't really think that much of it. But by the third appointment that I had, where I had to show the result of that particular scan, it was such a horrible experience. Honestly, every single time I went to Cloud9, I would get so frustrated, and I just was not looking forward to going to Cloud9. It did not make me feel like I was on Cloud9. Remember specifically, my sister had gone with me because my husband had gone back. This is like the end of the first trimester, and we had to show the doctor the scan. I was waiting there, and 3 people went in before me when it was my appointment to go to. women. The first person they let go in looked very, very pregnant, and I could sense that she had twins. So they said that this is an emergency case. Do you mind if they go in front of you? And I was like, obviously, I don't mind. Then the second case came in, and they asked me, do you mind? This is also an emergency thing. Can she go in? And obviously you don't mind because it's emergency, anything can happen, okay? And these women looked like they were about to pop, okay? And so I didn't have a problem with that. Third, however, this random person that didn't really look that ready to pop, she actually looked like she was most probably like similar time pregnant as I was, because she wasn't visibly pregnant. She just went in, and I was just sitting there like, wait, did another person go in? She went in so quickly. And I then asked the nurse, I said, wait, did you just let another person in? And she said, ma'am, and I said, you let someone in. I just saw someone go in. And she very hesitatingly told me that, oh, ma'am, this staff ko mana nahi kar sakte. A deep breath, because it had already been, I think, an hour and 45 minutes of me waiting on that couch and my sister waiting with me. I asked her if they have a policy that they put staff before a paid client, and she obviously couldn't really answer me there. And I didn't want to trouble the nurse. That's the reason why I didn't make a big scene. I said, it's okay. Can you make sure I go after her? And by the time I was sitting outside, my sister was also getting really tired because I have two nieces and she has to go back home. And it's almost been like 2 hours of us waiting for an appointment that we shouldn't anyways wait. The first thing that I thought of was, this is a huge hospital chain. They have like 5,000, 7,000 reviews on Google. And they have different hospitals at different places. Do they not have an emergency section? Because people are coming in between my appointments for an emergency section. And generally hospitals have appointments and they have emergency. So you don't have to wait for an appointment, right? If this happens with me when I'm about to deliver, I'm going to lose my mind, right? Imagine them putting another lady in front of you because she's more emergency than you. It's fine when you can tolerate it, but when you can't tolerate it, then what? I just seemed very haphazard. So while sitting there for 15 more minutes, I had made up my mind that I wasn't going to see this particular doctor at this hospital simply because I do not like how the management works. I don't understand what exactly people are doing. And you pay so much money and like the service is so poor. I just decided right then and there, I'm not going to go forward with it. So we went in, my sister and me miffed, and we told the doctor, it's not going to work out, we're not going to come here. And she was really surprised, and then I told her and she understood why I was frustrated. I told the doctor I can't really go forward with this because cloud 9 is the only thing that gives me stress right now in my pregnancy. And so she was like, okay. She called, I think, someone that's like the head there, and he sat with me and he told me that it's not gonna happen again. It's not gonna happen again. Oh my god, my baby's crying. They told me that it's not gonna happen again. This is like the first of these sort of things, and they really tried to counsel me and be like, it's not gonna happen again. I'm sorry if you can hear the baby noise. We gotta get used to it. Because I had already made up my mind, I was like, yeah, no. He gave me his personal number and he said, if anything happens, please call me. And I was like, that doesn't help me because I generally always think of everyone else as well. I'm like, if this is happening and it happened in front of me the first time that I came in, and it's happening right now, how many people has this person shared his phone number with? And if 10 people have the same issue, then that means there's like integral issue with the system at the hospital. And that's the reason why I chose not to go with Cloud9. But first trimester ended with me changing my doctor and me going to Max Hospital. And other things that were rapidly changing in my body in the next video.